Today I'm going to tell you about Edgar Allan Poe. One of his famous quotes and favorable quotes: "The scariest monsters are the ones that lurk within our souls." And to me, that quote means, I'll give you an example. You ever come home from work or a long day and you're tired, but you know you still have work to do, but you have to fight with your mind to tell you to do this, or it's another voice in your head telling you to do another thing. It's easy to listen to the voice that you want to hear and block out the voice that you need to be hearing. And it's like everyone is born with self-control or self-will and ability to make your own decisions. But depression is a monster, and it makes you a human puppet. And people say be kind to yourself, but you can't be kind to yourself when you have stuff that needs to be done. You have to be hard on yourself. You are your own worst enemy, and you can be a monster. You can have a monster in your soul if you allow that. Who is Edgar Allan Poe? Edgar Allan Poe was born January 1809, and died October 7th, 1849. He lived a very short life, just 40 years old when he passed away. But during his lifetime, he achieved a whole lot. He became one of the most famous American literatures in our time. The life of Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1809 to Elizabeth Arnold Poe and David Poe. Both of his parents were actors. However, Elizabeth was considered to be the best of the two actors. David Poe abandoned his family when Edgar was just a young boy. Edgar Allan Poe teen years. In 1820, the Allans returned to Richmond, where Edmund continued his education. His early teenage years were just as typical as any other teenager. They were filled with school and sports. Edgar enjoyed boxing, swimming, and running, but for different reasons than any other teenager. Edgar Edgar participated in boxing to let out his anger and emotions in literature and his frustrations in life. He endured swimming because he loved to swim. He would swim miles in the James River just to clear his mind, and he loved to go running also to clear his mind and think about his literature and his life. Edgar felt like an outsider with his American accent once he moved back to around his friends. They didn't have the same accent as him, so he didn't feel as comfortable. When Edgar was 15 years old, he developed a crush on the mother of a classmate by the name of Jane Stannard. Edgar was deeply fond of Jane, and he gave her the name Helen, which meant beauty in literature. And I feel like you really got to be pretty fond of a woman to give her the name, basically, beauty. In 1824, he was very devastated to hear that Jane had passed on, and he later wrote a poem to Jane called To Helen. A little bit about Edgar Allan Poe's To Helen. To Helen is the first of two poems to carry that name written by Edgar Allan Poe. The 15-line poem was written in honor of Jane Stannard, the mother of a childhood friend. It was first published in 1831, Collection Poems of Edgar A. Poe. And to the right I have the actual writing of To Helen.
Verse from the unquiet mind of Mr. Edgar Allan Poe. Ladies, thy beauty is to me like those Nicean barks of yore, that gently o'er a perfumed sea the weary, way-worn wanderer bore to his own native shore. On desperate seas long wont to roam, thy hyacinth hair, thy classic face, thy naiad airs have brought me home to the glory that was Greece and the grandeur that was Rome.
Glory, hallelujah.
Edgar Allan Poe, The Black Cat. As life started for the storyteller of Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat, he turned into a quiet and altruistic man with an affection for creatures and individuals alike. The reason Edgar Allan Poe wrote about the black cat is because black cat symbolizes bad luck and dark sanity, such as Halloween, or if you cross a black cat, it's considered to be bad luck. But he crushes his wife's his spouse's life in progression of occasion brought on about by his huge cat named Pluto. Through this terrible recounting of man's wending towards craziness, Edgar Allan Poe utilizes emotional grammar planned by brief yet duolingual authority to exhibit a progression of sensational occasions with paralleling originating from liquor dependence. One of his famous quotes from The Black Cat, "Yet mad I am not, and very surely I do not dream." Edgar Allan Poe, to my mother. Edgar Allan Poe's mom passed on 1811. When Poe was just 2 years of age, his dad exited the prior year. So Poe turned into an orphan with his mom's passing. He was taken by John and Frances Allan of Richmond, Virginia, and would live with them until he achieved adulthood. Despite the fact that the Allans never officially embraced him, his middle name was gotten from his embraced parents. He was likely named. Parents were the two entertainers who were featuring in a generation of Shakespeare's play when their child was born. Poe composed to my mom in 1849. So Edgar Allan Poe he wasn't really accepted by his godparents or foster parents or whatever you want to call it. He never felt loved. He was just basically taken in because they felt like they wanted to have an extra child. His dad walked out on him at an early age, which I'm sure didn't really have a toll on him at 2 years, but I'm sure later on trickled down. It kind of brought a toll on him and had him thinking the dark ways that he thought. Favorable quote from Edgar Allan Poe to my mother. Because I feel that in heavens above, the angels, whispering to one another, can find, among their burning terms of love, none so devotional as that of mother. Edgar Allan Poe's death. Edgar Allan Poe passed away on October 7th, 1849. His last days remain to some degree a puzzle. Poe left Richmond, Virginia on September 27, 1849, and as far as anyone knows, on his approach to Philadelphia on October 3rd, he was found in Baltimore in extraordinary trouble.